We're going to look at fractional exponents. Just quickly reviewing a couple of the properties of exponents. We have the product property, which is when we multiply, we add the exponents. So if we look at example 1, when we multiply 3 times 8 is 24. When we multiply the x's, what we have is 1/2 and 5/2. But since we're multiplying, we're adding the exponents. So that would be 1/2 plus 5/2, which is 6/2. And 6/2 is 3. So we have x to the third. Y times y to the half. This is a 1. This is a half. So when we multiply, we add the exponents. 1 plus a half would be 3/2. So that would be y to the 3/2. We always write it as a improper fraction, not a mixed number. For the next one, I'm going to skip down to the 0 property. Anything to the 0 is 1. So if we look at letter B, we have this to the 0. So that would be 1. 9 times 1 gives us 9. Looking at letter C, what we have is the power property. Whenever we have an exponent to an exponent, we multiply. So this would be 4 to the 1/2, x to the 2 over 2, and y to the 6 over 2. 4/2, this is what we talked about last time. That would be the same thing as the square root of 4, which is 2. 2 over 2 is 1, or just x. 6 over 2 is 3. Now for letter D, this combines both of them. Quotient property, when we divide, we subtract the exponents. And then negative property, whenever we have a negative exponent, we bring it, if it's on the top, to the bottom, or if it's on the bottom, we bring it to the top. So we have 4/6, which reduces to 2/3. Then we have a negative exponent, so we bring it up, and that becomes 3/2 plus 1/2, because when we bring up a negative, it becomes a positive. 3 plus 1 is 4, so that would be 4/2, which is 2. So we have x to the second. This is a negative exponent, so we bring it down. That would be 1/2 plus, because when we bring it down, it becomes a positive, 3/4. We need a common denominator, which is 4. So 2/4 plus 3/4 would give us 5/4. Let's look at a few more examples. So for letter E, we're multiplying again. 5 times 7 is 35. We have x to the 1/3 times x to the 1/2. Once again, when we multiply, we add the exponents. 1/3 plus 1/2. Our common denominator is 6. So this would be 2/6 and 3/6, which adds up to 5/6. Then we have 1y and 5/4. So 1 plus 5/4. Once again, we need a common denominator. 1 becomes 4 over 4 plus 5 over 4. That adds up to 9 over 4. Just as a reminder, anything to the 0 power is 1. Since everything's in the parentheses, our answer is just 1. Here we have the power property where we distribute the 1/3 to each of the terms. And so we have 125 to the 1/3. We have x to the 2/3. And we have y to the 12/3. 125, that would be the cube root of 125, which is 5. X stays the same as 2/3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that's y to the 4th. For our last one, 14 and 21, they both have a 7 in common, so they reduce to 2/3. We subtract, and that would be 3/5 minus 1/3. Common denominator would be 15. So that means that this would be 9/15, and this would be 5/15. 9 minus 5 would be 4, so we have x to the 4/15. The reason that I put the x in the numerator is because there's more x's on top than on the bottom. Here we have a negative exponent. We bring it up, it becomes a positive. So we have 2 plus 2/3. We need a common denominator. So the common denominator would be 3. So that would be 6/3 plus 2/3, which would be 8/3.